welcome back to the channel. Sorry it's been a while. Some time ago when I was doing one of my other case reviews, somebody put a comment on about why don't I review the Loop Voyager case, which a lot of places are rebranding as Zoostorm cases. I did actually put a comment on that I would be reviewing that shortly. Well, today is that day. The box is actually branded Zoostorm, although it's it's a generic case made by Loop. It's the Voyager case, and a lot of them left the factory with the Zoostorm brand on. Zoostorm may not have used them, so they were just getting sold on as a generic case to use. So we're going to open it up. We're going to have a look at the features, see how good it is. Hopefully this is a better case than the last one I reviewed. For those of you that follow my channel, you'll know I wasn't overly impressed with that one. And we'll go from there. So we'll get on with the unboxing. Okay, so the first thing we notice, we look at both sides, there's no clear side panel, either glass or plastic. So for those of you that like to show off your internal components or have RGB, this is not going to be a case for you. This is more for the productive user who just wants a good case with plenty of airflow to build basically just a workstation machine. So we'll go around it. So as you can see, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, you've got an embossing on both sides. You've got one on that side as well. Don't know why you'd have one on this side, because this is the side where you've got access to your components. On the other side I can understand it because it gives you a bit more space for cable management, but I think it was just to make the case a bit more symmetrical. On the front, it's a solid front, but we have some venting down the sides and across the bottom for air intake. Not the best. We have two 5¼ inch removable bay panels, although who uses optical drives or anything like that these days? I mean, you may want to use with an adapter, you could maybe put a card reader in there or something to have a front mounted card reader. On the top we have don't know how else going to pick that up. So you've got your reset button, power button, two USB 2s, two USB 3s, headphone and mic jack, and you've got some, what I can only assume are fan controllers with a low, a medium and a high on both controllers. I'm assuming they're fan controllers because you've got no RGB on this as far as I can tell. On the top we have a nice large grill for air, and then this is actually just a push release. Get it right, and the whole thing comes off. Oh, it looks like there's a couple of RGB fans in the top of the case, and these are actually Zoostorm branded fans, although I shouldn't imagine they were made by Zoostorm. They'll have been made by someone else for them. They are actually RGB fans because there are little LED chips on a band all the way around the edge of the blades. So there's two 120mm fans in there. So these might be, one might be for fan speed, one might be for intensity of the lighting on the fans. I don't know. That's something I would find out as and when I ever do a build in this case. So on the back we've got obviously your I/O shield. You've got a space for a 120mm fan. There is no fan in the back, so obviously the only fans that come with this, as far as I can see so far, are the two in the top. You've got your usual 7 expansion ports and your power supply entry. So although it's a cheap case, I think this is about 25, 30 quid, something like that. It is thumb screws all round, but it is just very cheap metal. So we'll take that off. Right, first thing we see, no power supply shroud, but that's not a bad thing because we've got no clear side panel, so you're not going to see your cables once you've got your case closed up anyway. We have little clip-in mounts there for your optical drives, so if you were using say a 3½ to 5¼ inch bay adapter to maybe mount a card reader in front, you would actually have to remove these for putting your screws in to secure that bay adapter. You've got all your normal cables. What's these? Right, fan 1, fan 1, fan 2, fan 2. So I can only assume, yes, fan controller power. So those switches on the top are fan controller switches, because you've got lead cables here and a Molex that's marked fan controller power. So that's those. And then you've got all your normal bits and bobs, all your normal connectors, hard drive, front panel, USB 2, USB 3, etc. The USB 3 actually has 2 cables coming up to the plug to run the 2 separate ports on the front of the case. 3.5 inch bays. You've got for 3.5 inch drives. They are actually toolless. They just clip in. Obviously, if you're using a 2.5 inch drive, be it a small mechanical or an SSD, you would need to use screws. But then they just slide in place and lock in. We have actually a little removable dust filter underneath where the power supply goes. Just slides in and out. This is unusual because normally dust filters for power supplies slide out from the back. This one slides forward, so you've actually got to tip the case up to take the dust filter off to clean it, which not the best idea, but any dust filter is better than none. So we'll slide that back into place. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of openings for cables to come through. You've actually got a little support bracket just here. So the camera's not doing very well today. It's good to have something to do with the cameraman, i.e. me. Plenty of holes for cables to come through, but no grommets because it's a cheap case. Nice large opening on the back of the motherboard mounting tray for getting to your cooler mounting bracket should you want to change that, so you don't have to take the motherboard out completely to change a cooler mounting bracket. You've already got 6 standoffs pre-installed. This will actually take a full ATX, mini ATX and mini ITX boards. I don't think, no it won't. It won't take eATX boards. So we'll take the thumb screws off and we'll have a look, see what space is like behind the motherboard tray and what we've got as far as tie down points and space for cable management. Right, first thing I notice, not a lot of space. That's why the panel has got the embossing on it to allow the space, because where the tray is to the actual framework, I'd say there's probably about 3mm. So on the back we've got obviously some tie down points here, there. You've got your opening here for your EPS power to come up from, come out of the power supply here, up along and down into there for going to your motherboard. You've got your openings here. You've got a 4 little mount points here to sideways flat mount a 2.5 inch drive, be it a mechanical or an SSD. So if you've got 3 hard drives here in the bay, the toolless bay, you could still put another 2.5 inch drive in the back. So you could basically have 3 drives for storage and another drive for your boot drive. And I would say, obviously, I would always say use an SSD for that because it's going to speed up your boot time. It's not particularly impressive. Again, it's probably purely because of the embossing on the side panel itself. It's got more space for cable management than the Ions case that I recently reviewed. However, it is a budget case. It's not one I'd go out specifically to buy to do a build unless somebody was on the tightest budget they could imagine, and it'd be like, right, this is the cheapest case I can get. That's what you get in it's no frills. It's just a box that sits in the corner. That's the kind of case this is going to be. I could probably see myself just building some kind of workstation in this, or using it as a training ground case for teaching people how to build, because it does make people think about cable management, having to build in a case with very little space in the back, and also with no power supply shroud to hide cables. they've got to think about where they're putting any excess cables if it's a non-modular power supply. So they've got to think about, well, where am I going to put all the rest of my cables? How am I going to tidy them up, etc. So it's probably a good training ground case to teach people about builds and about cable management. Like I say, this was sub £30, somewhere between 25 and £30 this was. And like I say, it is branded, and it's kind of like a screen print on the brushed black case. It's a screen print in gloss black saying Zoostorm. However, this is a Loop Voyager, just branded as a Zoostorm case. So there we go. Again, not a brilliant case, but just because of the feature of the embellishment on the back panel, probably better for cable management than the Ions case. So if I was rating them both out of 10, I'd probably give the Ions a 2. I'll probably give this a 3, as compared to something like an NZXT H500, which I'd probably give a 9.5 to, because I love those cases. I've built in 3 of them, and I never have a problem. They're brilliant cases. I actually have a H500 for my own build. So there we go. Right, so that's this case review over and done with. Again, if you liked it, if you enjoyed it, hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to let you know when the next video goes up. I'll link my Facebook page in the comments below as well. I'll also link my website in the comments below, because if you're interested in a new PC, hit me up. Obviously, we are struggling with components at the moment. My normal supplier, when I'm looking at graphics cards, it's like out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. So I'm having to look further afield for graphics cards, and you're paying over the odds for what it should normally be. Say, I mean, something like a 1650 Super should be around about 150 quid. Well, where you can find them, they're nearly double that price. And I just refuse to pay those prices. So if somebody wants me to do a build, I say, yeah, fine, I'll get all the rest of the parts, you source the graphics card. But we're detracting away from what this video is about. It's about this case. So yeah, we'll get this one finished, and as always, we'll see you in the next one.